Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are waiting for the list. The list is supposed to come out today. Well, let me retract that. It's been rumored, or not even rumored. Pam Bondi said last night on Jesse Waters that the list might come out today. So the list might come out today. And what list am I talking about? I'm talking about the Epstein list. The list that a lot of Democrats don't want to come out. They don't want it to come out because it's going to expose a lot of people. And I don't think that it's just Democrats on this list. There's probably some rhinocrats. There's probably there's politicians, both parties. I would say there's probably some kings and some queens on there, some diplomats on there, some businessmen on there, some judges, some lawyers, even law enforcement. There's probably a lot of people on this list. But according to Pam Bondi, there's at least 250 victims that's tied to all of this. And I think one of the reasons, the excuse was, is that they haven't really come up with the list just as of yet because they want to protect the victims. Well, I would imagine that these victims, the 250 victims that are involved in this, are probably old enough to maybe handle it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. Because, people go through certain things through their life and it traumatizes them. And this might be something that they just want to go away altogether, never be discussed ever again. Or some of them might want justice. Even though Epstein is gone, some of them said, look, we need to get the story out. I think a lot of these people that were probably involved in this would get, book deals and so many other things to probably follow with it. But then again, at the same time, I completely understand it. We need to respect people's privacy because some people just like, look, I don't want to have any thoughts of it. I want to get that out of my mind completely. And I completely get that. But the American people have been screaming about this list. Why did they not release the list in the first place? Why are they hiding it? There's something in there that they deem is really, really damaging. And I'm wondering if they do release it today, is it going to be redacted? How much it will be redacted? Because typically that's what you get when the federal government releases anything, is heavily redacted. And then, of course, the left will get it and say, oh, there's not even anything hidden in here. Because it's all redacted. There's we don't even know who's on the list still. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Let me play this first clip for you. This is the video that I was talking about where Pam Bondi was on with Jesse Waters and talking about releasing the list. And she said that she's going to release it today. I don't know. We were kind of anticipating that right now, during this time, 12 o'clock, on the East Coast, that the information, the list will come out. We're still waiting. And one of my biggest pet peeves, and I've seen this so many times, is that when people say they have all of this information, all of this evidence, and we're going to release it, they never just say, here it is. They always say, we're going to release it next day, next week, next month, or very soon, and it never comes out. I am tired of that. I am sick of it. If you're not going to release it, don't even talk about it. Just say, you know what, we got to move on from this story. We're not going to release anything. Don't even expect us to release anything. Just move on from it. I would respect that even more. I can't stand when people say, and I've heard this from all walks of life, right? And I'm pretty sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's really disturbing. I don't like it. But let's hope that Pam Bondi is not going to do what we're all accustomed to. Say we're going to release it tomorrow, and it never happens.
You said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk. When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah. What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay. Well,
along with his co-defendant.
Absolutely. And he had help. That's for sure.
He sure did.
So probably tomorrow. Keyword probably. That's the keyword, probably. So probably not. Probably not. And of course, when she doesn't release it, if she doesn't release it, and I'm hoping that she does, but if she doesn't release it, guess what the left is going to say? The left is going to come out and say, oh, the reason why she's not releasing it is because Trump is all involved. Trump's name is in there. That's the reason why she's protecting him. I'm telling you, this is exactly what they're going to say without being there, without even being there. There's so much corruption that's been happening in the federal government for many, many years. And this is part of it. Right. And I can understand why they didn't release it in the past because, Billy Clinton was, they have the picture of Bill Clinton, his portrait on the wall. And it was kind of weird. Right. I think he was like in a dress and high heels or something like that. It was really weird that he had this painting allegedly, because I never saw it myself. So I'm going to have to say that allegedly there was this picture of him on the wall, Bill Clinton on the wall in a dress with high heels at the island. Allegedly. Because I've never seen it personally. But I've seen, images that, were released. So they can release that, which lets us know that, Billy Clinton was there. And we already know it's no secret that Billy Clinton was on the airplane multiple times, apparently. But I think they're okay with us knowing about Billy Clinton because we kind of expect that from them. And besides, he's a Democrat, and Democrats, they don't have any morals. They do demonic things, and we're all accustomed to them doing the demonic things. So it's perfectly fine that we know about Billy Clinton. But there's other people probably on there that they're like, oh my goodness, this would be extremely damaging to them. And I think the time to expose it all is now. President Trump is already doing a lot of exposing the corruption, the wasteful spending, all that in the federal government. So I think the time to do it is now. Let's get the game rolling. Let's get it rolling.
You recall, Will, that they were saying that Trump was on the list. You remember when it first came, they're like, oh, Trump's on the list, Trump's on the list. If Trump was on the list, do you really think he'd be the one releasing it? I don't think so.
No, but
right?
but it goes back to my point that if they don't release it, they're going to say that they're protecting him. Let me play another part of this. And I don't know, they're talking about this on Fox, of course, about the island and, the list coming out.
Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years where she belongs. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
You see that? So when they got Maxine, right? When they got her, they thought that all the information was going to come out then. And apparently she had a black book, right? And I guess maybe that's where a lot of the list came from, the black book, because they were wondering all of the people who were on the flights. And be honest with you, I really never did, go into a deep dive of the whole Epstein and all of that, because it's like, it's no secret. I don't think none of us were surprised about that it was even happening when the information came out, other than like, man, they were actually doing it. Now we all speculated that, these high profile politicians and these judges and these, corrupt people in the world, we all suspected that they were doing some really, really crazy things. We all suspected it. But then we saw like, oh, they actually did it. I think that was the whole thing. And you know what? The biggest shocker out of all of it is when you had, I forget the young lady's name, and I think she was on ABC, don't hold me to it. And she was trying to break the story. And they shut her down and then they fired her. The fact that they did that actually made the story get bigger. Now, they could have just allowed her to tell the story and then, people would watch it, but because people like, oh, yeah, wow, this is really bizarre, right? I mean, because none of us were like a big shocker when we all found out about it. They made it more of a shocker when they were trying to shut the story down, because they were saying that, yes, this thing is actually real and we don't want people to know about it. And as soon as you do that, you're telling people, don't put your hand in the cookie jar to get the last cookie. What are you going to want to do? You're going to want to put your hand in the cookie jar to get that last cookie. That's exactly what they did. And they didn't realize it. So let me play some of this one. Here's some more about this. And, they're just like some clips from the past and, talking about, are they going to release it? Because they constantly said it. Even President Trump mentioned that he's going to release the list. Now, I hope Pam Bondi don't do like the other ones, Jeff Sessions in the past and Attorney General Barr. They said they're going to do these things and never do anything. Just wait until someone get distracted by something else. I hope that is not the case here.
Recall this all started after President Trump first told our own Rachel Campos Duffy that he was open to releasing some information.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
Then last month, President Trump signing an executive order calling on agencies to release secret documents. Well, now Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna says she just heard from the DOJ in posting the letter sent from them to X, which reads in part, the integrity of criminal investigations and prosecutions is essential to every component of the department's mission to uphold the rule of law, keep our nation safe, and protect civil rights. What's unclear at this point is how this might affect Epstein's co-defendant, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently serving 20 years for her role in covering for Epstein. Steve?
So, I mean, President Trump said, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. So when he did the executive order for releasing the documentation about JFK and Martin Luther King Jr., was Epstein not on that executive order?
It was.
So Epstein was on that executive order as well.
I thought so. Let me look it up.
Yeah, let's verify, because I know for a fact that it was JFK and Martin Luther King. And I know there was a couple other things associated with it, but I don't recall if it was the list, the Epstein list as well. Now, of course, ever since they started threatening or even suggesting or even elaborating that they're going to possibly release the list, of course, all of the tyrants on the left, all of the Democrats, what did they do? They all went out there and they found these pictures of President Trump happened to be at the same location with Epstein. Y'all seen the pictures, right? Y'all seen the pictures. And they've even had some AI generated pictures to make it look like Epstein was there with President Trump. And it was really weird because Epstein doesn't have any legs. But of course, liberals are not capable of understanding what they're seeing, so they believe the picture is real. Everything else, when it shows President Trump in a positive light, they say that's not real, that's disinformation. But when it's an actual AI photo that's been doctored, it might not even been AI for this one. Someone did a Photoshop, a really bad job with it, right? But they're showing that. and they say that's real. Well, I want y'all to listen to President Trump. And I don't even know, was this back? I think this was, I'm not even sure when this was. It's not really important. The important thing is what President Trump says. That's the important thing in here. And of course, I'm surprised that this was on, CBSN, because you know how CBS, you know how the liberals, they don't ever like showing President Trump when he's telling the truth. And of course, they're probably saying that he's lying. And what he says in this video, he did not lie at all.
And I just want to clarify that you're right, Will. The executive order was only for JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King.
Okay.
It did not include Epstein, but
Okay.
He did make a promise he would release him.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I didn't think it was part of the executive order. So I guess this gives them an out to not share the information, what have you. But I don't know why President Trump would not want that to come out. Maybe just maybe, if the list came out, it would be a huge security breach. I don't know. You be the judge. Leave me a comment. But listen to what President Trump says here. This is the reason why I believe that President Trump is not concerned about them releasing it.
I was not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein. And you
Did you hear what he just said right there, Shannon? Right off the bat. I had to stop it. Sorry, please forgive me. I just want to make sure that you heard it too. I want to make sure that all of you watching right now, I want to make sure that you heard it too. Listen to it. I'm not going to stop it this time. I'm not going to promise. I'm going to try not to. This is such a powerful clip. This right here should end it all about President Trump's involvement.
I was not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein. And you watched people yesterday saying that I threw him out of a club. I didn't want anything to do with him. That was many, many years ago. It shows you one thing, that I have good taste. Okay? Now, other people, they went all over with him. They went to his island. They went all over the place. He was very well known in Palm Beach. His island, whatever his island was, wherever it is, I was never there. Find out the people that went to the island. But Jeffrey Epstein was not somebody that I respected. I threw him out. In fact, I think the great James Patterson, who's a member of Mar-a-Lago, made a statement yesterday that many years ago I threw him out. I'm not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein.
He's not a fan. President Trump is not a fan. And he keep talking about it. Everybody else kept reporting that President Trump threw him out. Like, dude, you can't be in here with all that. You got to go. He got the boot. He kicked him out. But of course, none of the liberals hear anything President Trump says. They hear nothing. They only hear, oh my goodness, he's a dictator. He's a dictator. When President Trump comes out and he's telling jokes or he's trolling the left, they believe all of that. Like y'all seen the picture where President Trump, actually they put it on the White House and he says, "Long live the king," and they show have a picture of Trump right there with a crown on his head. He's straight up trolling them like no tomorrow. And all of them took the bait. Every last one of them. But those of us that voted for President Trump, right? Those of us that voted for him, we know what he's doing. He's trolling them. And he distracted them so much they couldn't think straight. They couldn't think about nothing else. Even Holcomb in New York, she printed it out and had to show it on a news conference. See, he's been a dictator. We don't have any kings. But actually, if you really think about it, if you look at it, people 100, 200, well, we'll have to say people back in like the 1830, 1750, 1600s, the 1500s. If they saw President Trump today, if they had a time machine, go back and they brought him up here today, they would say, "Oh, that's your king," right? That's what they would say. "Oh, you elect your king every 4 years. You have elections to elect your king." We just say the word president, right? He is our president, and he's only president for these next 4 years. And I'm telling you, after these 4 years, President Trump, he's going to be done. He's going to be done. He's here to do the job that I believe that God has ordained him to do. He's here to do that, and then after the 4 years, he's done. Then he's going to pass the mantle, and he hadn't made. It's been completely clear about that. He's been 100% clear about that.
So it's past 11. It's actually 12:20 Eastern time, and
Uh-huh.
Bondi said that she was going to release the Epstein files by 11 o'clock Eastern time today. I don't see anywhere where they have dropped yet. Marsha Blackburn did an interview on Fox News, and she said that the flight list will only be phase 1 of what will be released. So we're still waiting for it. I wish it was already dropped,
just
but
do it.
Yeah, I don't know why people do that. To your point, it's like, why do you have to keep saying we're going to wait?
It's coming.
Now, I know
It's
she
coming.
said that she wants to make sure that everything's redacted about victims, but we're talking about flight logs.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess some flight log.
It would have the
some
victims' names
victim
on the
names
flight
on
logs
them.
too.
But then my question is, were they not already in the
If it's-
process of eliminating those before she said something yesterday?
If they know it's 200, I guess in this case they
Or
want
200
to cross their T's and dot their I's
Yeah.
before they release all this information, because then it could become a big ordeal.
Well, they
like,
don't
oh,
want
this
those
person
victims
was
to
a
have
victim.
to suffer anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, I get that.
And I get that.
Right.
But I think it's been long enough, right? It's been long enough. Give me the list. Give me the list, and I'll make sure. And I'll do it within 24 hours. I will spend the entire 24 hours going through it.
I think there's going to be some great
Let's do it.
surprises.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know why, but I do.
Hey, let me tell you about this great deal, and I think you have until this Friday, tomorrow, right? This is the Patriot Mobile. The switch to Patriot Mobile, your cell phone service, to get you the first. When you switch to Patriot Mobile with your cell phone service, you get the first 2 months free when you use the promo code VICTORY. The offer expires this Friday, February 28th, that's tomorrow, at 8 p.m. Central. So don't wait, everyone. Go check it out. Sign up at patriotmobile.com or call 972-PATRIOT. You get it? So basically, look, the simplest way, go to patriotmobile.com, patriotmobile.com, and use promo code VICTORY. You should put victory on there, Shannon. You should say promo code for the lower third. But I'm just saying. But look, go to it, check it out, read up on the information. You will be pleasantly surprised. You'll be pleasantly surprised. patriotmobile.com. Victory is the promo code. I love that. Okay, let's talk about something else really quick, if I can. Because we can talk all day long about the list. I mean, we really can. But until they come out with it, we're just talking. And I'm tired of just talking. I want to see action, which again leads me to believe that it's possibly going to happen, because with this administration, we've actually seen action. The swamp is getting drained, and they're saying it's unconstitutional for you to drain the swamp. I'm paraphrasing here. How dare you stop this corruption? How dare you stop this wasteful spending? It is unconstitutional. They're exposing themselves. They're showing themselves. You know who else is now, I think, in a lot of trouble? And look, who was the first one that was constantly saying no one's above the law, Shannon? Was it the Democrats, or was it the Republicans?
Oh, come on. You know it was the Democrats.
The Democrats.
We already know Republicans already know that they're not above the law.
Exactly.
Because they're the party of law and order.
But so why did Democrats have to remind people that no one is above the law? Why do they keep reminding people that no one's above the law? But then when a Democrat gets caught, you don't ever hear them say no one's above the law. You need to adhere to the law, and you have to suffer the consequences for the crimes that you committed. They don't ever say no one's above the law when they're committing crimes. You notice that? It's a pattern. I'm telling you, I pay attention to these things. Well, listen to this. This was James Comey, all in the news. I talked about him a little bit yesterday. We're talking about him today. He sat on the interview, and he was basically talking about the two honey. I think they don't say honeypot, right? But he's basically talking about the two agents that they sent into the White House to get General Flynn. Y'all remember that? And they said General Flynn lied. They set up General Flynn, and it was a total setup. But just like the honeypot that they sent into President Trump's campaign, that was James Comey. They sent him into his campaign to spy on him. Listen to this. Here's James Comey basically on national television admitting that he committed a crime.
It's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. The protocol, 2 men that all of us have perhaps increased appreciation for over the last 2 years. And in both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over. And so we placed a call to Flynn, said, hey, we're sending a couple guys over. Hope you'll talk to them. He said, sure. Nobody else was there. They interviewed him in a conference room at the White House Situation Room, and he lied to them. And that's what he's now pled guilty to.
What did he think they were coming over there for?
I don't think he knew. No, we didn't tell him. Just said, we got sending over a couple of agents. I want to ask you some questions. I didn't have this conversation. My deputy director did, but hope you got a few minutes you can sit down and talk to them. And he said, sure.
Because see, General Flynn didn't think that he needed to have a lawyer there because he didn't do anything wrong. It's like, okay, this is the FBI. We're all on the same team. But he sent them to go get General Flynn. Now, of course, General Flynn goes on with Benny Johnson and having a conversation about James Comey. James Comey is a criminal. James Comey is what we call a dirty cop. Listen to this.
I knew that we had to fight through this, and it was not easy, but we were able to stand our ground. We figured out a way out of it. My case was dismissed by the government, by the Department of Justice, and what they should have done was they should have killed me there, Jim. And I know that they considered it. And so by not doing that, they picked the wrong family to mess with. And I'm going to tell you, we are so tied into the government, particularly the government right now.
You said that James Comey should have killed you. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean it. I mean, these people, I know that they talk about these things. So there's a group of people that talk, they discuss this because it's like, what do we want to do? We can destroy this guy. And then all of a sudden I start to fight back. We started to fight back, and I completely changed my whole I changed my legal team. I changed our strategy, huge gamble. And we started to fight back. And when we did, we started winning. And then we eventually won. And I know that there are conversations, and primarily outside of the government, that says, what do we want to do about a guy like Flynn? What do they want to do about a guy like Trump? They tried to kill him twice. He's as a candidate. I mean, his life is always at risk. Those of us that are on the periphery, and not on the, it's sort of in a right in that outer circle periphery. And I'm not talking about way out on the edges. I'm talking about right there at the edge of that sort of inner circle where we're still in there fighting it, mixing it up. These people they're scrambling. I mean, they know that they are busted. They're caught badly. Comey, he's just the beginning.
Comey is just the beginning. Now, what I've said multiple times before, you can take it off the screen. President Trump's going to have to get these people. He's going to have to. And the reason why I'm constantly saying this, because, they all said no one's above the law. No one's above the law. They're the ones constantly saying it. No one's above the law. So President Trump needs to do exactly what they're saying and go along with them. No one's above the law. You committed all these crimes. We got the receipts. We got the receipts to show the American people exactly what you did. We got the receipts right here. And now guess what? No one complained, but of course, all of those on the left, if you arrest actual criminals, they're going to kick and scream. They're going to be piping mad. But just like I was just saying a second ago, and I've been saying this because the record player is not broke. The record player is on repeat. If President Trump doesn't get them, as soon as they get the opportunity, as soon as they get back into power, they're going to bring down tyranny onto the American people like we've never seen before. Because President Trump, what he's currently doing, and I love every minute of it, but what he's currently doing has all of them in disarray right now. They're all upset. They're all piping mad saying, oh, you know, President Trump, he's acting like a dictator. He's acting like a dictator. You notice the people complaining about removing wasteful spending are the ones calling President Trump a dictator and saying that he's violating the Constitution because he's removing wasteful spending. This is your hard-earned money. You go to work, you bleed, you sweat, you got tears. You wake up, sometimes you're not feeling good, you're feeling sick, and you still got to go to work because you're trying to keep the lights on. You're doing all of this. You work every day. Some people go dig ditches. Some people go sit in the office and have a terrible boss, but they're there because they have to put food on the table. Just to find out that the federal government has been taking your money and spending it on stuff that has nothing to do with you. You're never going to benefit from it. It's almost like paying into Social Security, and they take your Social Security money that's supposed to be for you when you retire, but they spend that money on something else. Oh, you see how that's been working? That's exactly what's been happening. And here comes President Trump, still truly an outsider to the whole establishment, to the political movement. He's still an outsider. I don't care what you say. He's still an outsider. And President Trump being an outsider to all of the stuff that they've been doing. And now he's coming in like a businessman. And this is what we voted for. I don't know about you, but this is what I voted for. I voted for what President Trump is doing. And I love the fact that he's going hard. And of course, the Democrats say, oh, President Trump, he's not really doing much. He's only doing like 1%. Okay, who cares? You know, this is what the Democrats are saying. And President, oh, okay. Okay. That's what I love, Trump. He says, okay, so I'm only like touching 1%. Let me go to True Social. Elon Musk, I am directing you to go ahead and get more aggressive. Booyah, baby. and Elon Musk is, oh, really? You want me to get more aggressive? And Elon Musk is like, yes, let's go. Don't hold back. See, this tells me right here that President Trump was saying, look, let's just scratch the surface here. Let's just see what we're dealing with. This is what President Trump was saying. President Trump was basically still giving these people the opportunity to start doing the right thing. But they're not doing the right thing. Not a single Democrat, not a single one came out and said, you know what, with President Trump finding this wasteful spending, we actually need to work with him so we can stop this for the betterment of the American people. Not a single one of them is saying that. Send me the proof. I will stand correct. I will say I stand corrected. If you can show me a Democrat out there saying we need to work with President Trump because we need to do what we can for the American people, because the American people are hurting. American people are still trying to keep food on the table. Oh, but we're talking about the prices of eggs. Remember that. They don't know how it works. They destroyed everything, the Democrats, and President Trump's having to fix it. It's like you take your vehicle to a mechanic. Depending on what the problem is and how much you ran the vehicle into the dirt, the mechanic has to take time to be able to fix it. They're going to have to do diagnostics. And then once they do diagnostics, they're going to have to see what parts they need to order. And they're going to have to wait for the parts to get there, right? I'm just using this as an analogy. That's how it works. And then when the parts get there, it takes time and labor because there might be other vehicles before yours. Exactly what's happening right now. USAID, the Treasury Department, Fort Knox, FEMA. Look at all of the corruption that the Democrats have been doing. And then on top of that, talking about the wasteful spending, and then President Trump keeping his promises by doing no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security. You notice none of the Democrats are coming out saying, you know, he stole Kamala Harris's idea. You remember Kamala Harris took it from President Trump, tried to act like it was her, saying no taxes on tips. Well, they just passed that in the House of Representatives, going to go to the Senate, more likely going to pass in the Senate, and President Trump's going to sign it. Right? More likely going to happen. More likely. They're piping mad right now because President Trump is keeping his promises to the American people. So what did the Democrats do? They all run to the liberal media outlets and say, oh, President Trump is getting rid of Medicare. He's getting rid of all of these essential programs that the American people need to survive. And it's nothing but a bunch of lies. Listen to Mike Johnson. And I do have my reservations about Mike Johnson, but listen to Mike Johnson on here because he's absolutely right. What he says in this clip, of course, she can't argue it. She wants to argue it. She's not a nice person. She wants to argue it. But he's asking her to go and search the bill about all of the lies that the Democrats are saying that's in the bill. And you won't even find it.
I challenge you or anybody on your staff, do a word search for Medicaid on the resolution that we passed last night. You will not find it. That is not part of this equation, okay? We're talking about finding efficiencies in every program, but not cutting benefits for people who rightly deserve that. Work requirements for Medicaid. That is something that is public opinion polls almost 90%. You don't want able-bodied workers on a program that is intended, for example, for single mothers with 2 small children who's just trying to make it. That's what Medicaid is for, not for 29-year-old males sitting on their couches playing video games. We're going to find those guys and we're going to send them back to work. That's what everybody supports. That's what the Republicans are for. And by the way, we find dignity in our work. That's going to be good for everybody.
So why don't they just do a simple search in the bill and see if everything that the Democrats are saying is true? She's not going to do that because they want to push the narrative that President Trump is removing all of these essential programs that the American people need. I mean, how do you argue that? Go do the search on it. Every last one of them. I've seen Elizabeth Warren. I've seen Jasmine Crockett. I've seen just about every single Democrat you can think of go onto social media. Of course, they're going on the X, because they're what is that, Blue Skies or whatever it's called. Their echo chamber is not really doing anything for them. So they come back over to X after they say they were leaving. And then they get on X and say, oh my goodness, he's going to take everything away from you. He's taking everything away. I've seen women on X saying, on their crying, Shannon. I've seen women on X crying about all of the rights they still have because President Trump didn't take them away. They're upset because they still have a job. They're upset because they're not sitting at home, Project 2025. They're upset because they're not sitting at home, sitting on the couch watching soap operas all day, and they're at work because they're still allowed to go to work. So they're on there crying. She looked at me like, what? Yeah, I mean, they're making fun of it. Like, I still have all of my rights. I can't stand it.
Oh, you mean conservatives are making fun of Democrats?
Yeah, how dare President Trump not take my rights away? I still have to go to work.
You know what? They complain about X, but I just want to say that CNN actually did a poll that said that X is more, it's more 50-50 than any other platform out there. There's more. It's the most balanced news out there. And they say, oh, it's a Republican echo chamber only because of who owns it. That's the only reason why they say that.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. They were talking in the poll. They were showing that X, when
like
it comes to Democrats
and 48% Republicans.
No, it was the other way around. Oh. It was 48. It says 48% Democrats. Oh, this was on CNN, and 47% Republicans.
I apologize. I guess that
but it's still basically half and half.
Yeah,
the thing is 1% over for the Democrats, and they're trying to say that the Republicans are controlling X. They're saying that for simple reason what you just said, because of Elon Musk. That's the only reason why they're saying that. They don't like the fact that you and I can put our viewpoints on there, and they get upset about it. Well, let me play another one for you, talking about this bill, this budget. Like I just told you. They're all out there lying. Here's one of the queen liars. One of the queen liars, of course, from California, complaining about the bill that's actually going to help. How many of you right now work in a restaurant or any field where you can receive a tip? Can you imagine they give you a tip and you don't have to pay taxes on that tip? Oh my goodness, how wonderful is that? That right there can stimulate the economy. And I'm like, President Trump came up with this idea. And if you really think about it, it's such a brilliant idea. And I'm thinking to myself, how come no one came up with it before now? I mean, this is like really like a no-brainer. But see, President Trump is trying to keep more money in your pocket instead of the federal government taking it and spending it on this nonsense. But listen to this.
We're no. Democrats are no on this budget. It is outrageous that you all have the audacity to come here with this budget that harms so many Americans and ask us to support billionaires and think we're going to buy it? You think we're going to support it? Well, you got another thought coming. We ain't doing it.
No one cares if you're not going to support it. I don't think, you know what, if President Trump came and says, I have the solution to everything that the Democrats have been complaining about, you know, like the weather, y'all know what I'm talking about? If President Trump said, here's the solution, here's the actual solution, it'll fix it all. It'll get rid of all the things that you've been complaining about. Then they would be against it. So anything that President Trump puts out there that's positive for the United States of America, for the people, they're going to be against it 100%. They're not for it at all. They're not for it at all. Well, here's another prime example of this. And this was on CNBC. And this guy, the guy on the far end there, I had never really paid attention to him, but I like that guy because he's saying a lot of common sense things. And he's bringing people on here that's talking common sense. I think a lot of people woke up after this last election about common sense. That's why the MAGA Republican Party is the party of common sense. It really is.
That President Trump has an agenda that is going to help working class Americans. And one of the main things that we talked about back in 2017 when we were first introducing these tax cuts was that it was going to increase the typical family's income by $4,000. You and I said that on the show over and over. The president said it on the show over and over. And right before COVID, the actual response to these pro-growth policies was that wages went up by $6,000. And so we've got like ex ante theory, ex post data. And so people who are out there saying this is going to hurt average families are in partisan denial. It's an unpatriotic thing to say. If you're going to be a politician and have an opinion about policy, you should study it. You should look at the literature, go to the National Bureau of Economic Research and see all the papers that have come out after the tax cuts and said, hey, these things work just the way the White House said. If you don't study and you come out and say foolish things like that person just did, then you're not serving the American people well.
And see, that's just it. President Trump is doing everything he can to benefit the American people. And just like I said a second ago, if he's doing any of that, they're going to be against it. They're going to be against it 100%. 100%. Now, I want to share something else with you. And this is something that both my producer and I have been, pleasantly surprised about. And this is the Pamper with Grace. I want you to go check it out. Pamper with Grace. Now, my producer, she, of course, has a special reason for wanting to do this. And this is something that they don't even advertise with this. That's something that benefited my producer. Now, for me, when I started taking the Pamper with Grace, the elixir, my nails on my hands started growing. I mean, I was like, I started realizing I had to cut my nails once a week. It was like when I was a kid, I had to cut my nails all the time because my nails would just grow. And then I got older, started slowing down. I started taking this, my nails started growing. It's absolutely remarkable. But my producer, she has a wonderful story for the ladies, of course. You want to tell your story, Shannon?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Pamper with Grace has been a blessing for me. I'm in my mid 50s, and so I'm going through the same change that a lot of women my age go through. And so one thing that Pamper with Grace has really done for me is that it's helped me stop having hot flashes, which has been huge for me. It's actually because of the collagen in it. It's helped relieve my skin. A lot of women, when they go through the change, their skin changes and it gets real itchy and dry. Literally, that has been eliminated with Pamper with Grace. But one reason why everyone should love Pamper with Grace is because of the health benefits of Pamper with Grace. And I think everyone should boost their health with astaxanthin, which is one of the main ingredients in Bella Grace. Astaxanthin is the king of carotenoids. It is a powerhouse antioxidant known for its anti-aging, anti-inflammatory, and cell-protecting benefits. And it's the key ingredient in Bella Grace elixir. Here's what it can do for you. It supports youthful skin. It reduces wrinkles, boosts elasticity, and it protects your skin from sun damage. Another thing that it's done for me is it enhances energy and endurance. It fights fatigue and aids post-workout recovery. It strengthens immunity and heart health. It combats oxidative stress and supports circulation. With collagen, acid, and 21 antioxidants, the elixir delivers total beauty and wellness from within. You guys have to try this. It's Bella Grace Elixir. You can get it today at pamperwithgrace.com. You won't regret getting this elixir.
I told you. She loves it. I love it too. I really do. Okay, let me tell you about this other one that I've been doing myself. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, the other one. Let me tell you about this. You can do it. Now, everyone is watching on various places and various locations. Well, this sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built a platform for small creators like Will Johnson. They didn't censor or have bias. Wonderful. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor any information about medical stuff going on, and you know what I'm talking about. But they did. Facebook admitted it, and they failed to the pressure of the Biden-Harris administration to censor the American people. But Rumble didn't. They held the line. They were attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They were attacked in the corporate media. They were attacked by governments like France, and they were attacked from brand advertisers who refused to work with them. Pretty sad, right? Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers that don't want to get much out of it. Watching our show on Rumble is one of the most things you can do, the best things you can do. But if you really believe in the fight, the freedom, and if you have the means, one of the major ways you can do this, one of the best things you can do to help Rumble survival is by joining the Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human rights for free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase the annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. But if you don't have the means, you know what? We're just happy that you're watching us on Rumble. Really are. Hit the thumbs up while you're at it. No matter how you're watching it, hit the thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. But talking about free speech and talking about what's been happening when it comes to social media, I want you to listen to this one. This was something going on, interview on Bloomberg, and I've seen this guy in there a couple of times, and he's talking about President Trump is keeping his promises and President Trump is coming through. And one of the things he's talking about how President Trump is just being harsh. He's saying, President Trump, he could do what he's doing, but just don't be so harsh. And basically what he's talking about is stop firing these people sitting at home in their underwear watching soap operas. That's what he's basically saying. Listen to this.
We've been doing focus groups every single week since the election and the inauguration. And Donald Trump is keeping his focus. He promised to deal with immigration. That's one of the first things that he set forward. He promised to address Ukraine. Now, I need to point out one thing that's important, which is that the language that he's using is not as effective as it could be. But that aside, the issues, the priorities, what the public wants him to do, he seems to be doing. And so he's being rewarded for, in essence, keeping his campaign promises.
You add the Doge and things start to get a little bit more complicated.
Correct.
This is red meat. They love the chainsaw at CPAC for a lot of MAGA. But even some Republicans are starting to worry. I don't know what the Doge focus group is going to tell us, Frank Luntz, but the Washington Post compiled comments from Republican members of Congress, specifically Lisa Murkowski. Now, granted, these are not big Trumpers. Lisa Murkowski, John Curtis, Don Bacon, Brian Fitzpatrick. They've used words such as embarrassing, cruel, absurd, extortion, and trauma. Yes.
The issue is the language, not the goal, not the mission.
Do voters think this?
The voters are tired of wasteful Washington spending. Waste, fraud, abuse, mismanagement, even corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And they applaud what he's doing. The question is he doing it in a way that they appreciate? There's some sadness when someone loses their job. There's pain when a family suddenly finds that the breadwinner is out of work. And that doesn't seem to be communicated from this White House. The public has an issue with his language, but not with his strategy. And it's the same thing that I hear up on Capitol Hill. If you're on the side of the status quo, you're losing. The American people have said enough, with all caps and an exclamation point, enough. But they haven't said enough about compassion, about empathy. And if this administration tones it down and does exactly what they say, says what they mean, means what they say, but does so with empathy and compassion, they're going to be even more popular than they are today.
So basically, what I'm getting out of that, because President Trump's administration is firing these people for sitting at home, not even checking their emails, he's not showing compassion. Well, what about when President Trump was in office the first time, starting when he was in office the first time, you had all of these liberals finding out that you were a Trump supporter. They would dox you. They would find out where you were working. Then they would harass your place of employment until you got fired. What about that? Where's the compassion? Where's the compassion when these tech companies, these social media tech companies, when they find out that you're a Trump supporter, a Christian, and they demonetize you because they don't like the way you think? Where's the compassion? See, they've been hurting all of us all of this time because we don't want to go along with their agenda. So then they take you and they hurt you financially. They will hurt you physically, mentally, however way they can hurt you. They were happy to do it. Where's the compassion? And now you can take them off the screen. And now they're upset because President Trump is giving these people the opportunity. 5 bullet points. What did you do last week? I can tell you 5 things that I've done today already. 5 things that I've done today. They couldn't do it over a week. And it's mainly because they were not even checking emails. Like, I'm not checking emails. I don't need to check emails. All of these people were acting and believing that they were the 4th branch of the federal government. They don't have to do anything, especially if an email comes from Elon Musk. For them, it's like, that's not anything that we need to pay attention to because Elon Musk is not my boss. Elon Musk is not my boss. And it's because they all view Elon Musk with President Trump as a team dictatorship. And I saw this other video and I meant to get it and I wanted to show this and I could not find it afterwards. And there's this guy, it's an old video. I think it was like maybe in the 70s, but he's sitting there on a panel from what I remember. And he's saying out of one of these communist manifesto books, and I can't remember, don't hold me to it. I'm kicking myself because I didn't save the video. But back then they were saying what they do or what they're going to end up doing in the future is that they're going to label everyone that they disagree with a fascist, a dictator. And they're going to put this out there constantly. It may have been in Solinsky's book, but they were going to keep saying it until people believe it. That's what makes me think Solinsky. And that's exactly what we're seeing today. They're constantly saying that, President Trump's a fascist, anyone support him is a fascist, all this rhetoric. When in actuality, those on the left, they've been the ones that have been doing all of these tactics of fascism. Silencing people because they're saying something that they don't want to hear. I mean, really? This is what they're doing. Listen to this. This was on the Communist News Network.
Well, I'm interested in a couple of the comments you made. You said it was destroying the newspaper because they failed to endorse Kamala Harris. I mean, what does that say about a newspaper that, you have to endorse a certain political party and for it.
That's not the way it happened. What happened was that the editorial board had an editorial done and ready, and that was the process.
Right.
And then suddenly to say, oh, now we're not going to endorse. They've endorsed other things since. It was the process by which it went under there. And there's other things going on constantly in the paper. I now use the hashtags Broken Times and Broken Post. The headlines in both papers, I think, are constantly off, constantly trying to soft pedal what's going on. You're not going to like what I'm saying next. But we are in the middle of a totalitarian fascist coup in this country. And when we don't call it that, when we soft pedal it, when we don't have a real discussion about it. At least here, I could say those words, we can have that discussion, but you will not see those words in the New York Times or the Washington Post.
Jeff, if we were being honest, there should be a breaking news banner on CNN and MSNBC all day long. We are in dictatorship right now.
Oh my goodness. Did they not realize when they were saying this nonsense during the election, it didn't work and that they're still pushing it? They're still pushing it. And see, they're the ones all okay with censoring the American people. They're okay with silencing you because you're a Christian, because you support President Trump. They're okay with it. There was even discussion about them removing us from society until we can change our thinking. Now, look at this one. Here's Jim Jordan talking about what free speech is. And I purposely put Jasmine Crockett's comment because she put this video on X. And she goes, what is the chairman even talking about? Y'all listen to this clip. I mean, this is where she's coming from. This is the reason why people are saying things about her because she's proving it. I encourage you, if you're on X, go look it up. Go verify this for yourself. But listen to what Jim Jordan says, and she's unable to comprehend what he's saying.
Make a point. We talked, the previous speaker talked about factual information. We've talked about fact-checking. Fact-checking. You know what fact-checking is truly supposed to be in this country? The First Amendment. Not some expert who can sit on and look at posts and tweets and different things and say, oh, that's not factual, take it down. That's not how it works. Fact-checking is the First Amendment. Someone says something stupid, and that happens every day in this Congress. Someone says something crazy. Someone says something that's not quite true, not quite accurate. You know what the fact-check is? Someone says something else, and you have debate. That's what we do in this committee every day. And this is the committee who's supposed to protect that fundamental fact.
That's it right there. Being able to have free speech to tell the truth. When someone says something stupid like Jasmine Crockett, we should be able to tell the truth and say, no, this is not factual what you're saying. This is what it's all about. But see, they believe, those on the left, that they can come out and lie about everything. And then when you say something that's truthful, oh my goodness, how dare you? You're not supposed to be able to do that. The fact that she put that comment out there, what is the chairman even talking about? And she's supposedly a lawyer. I mean, I don't understand. Maybe she got her lawyership the way that Elizabeth Warren did. You know, I don't know. You can take it off the screen. It's really something. Hey, let me tell you about this program that I've been doing. And this is a wonderful program. It's actually a pretty awesome program. It's called the Smart Money Strategy. Warren Buffett just invested over $50 billion in energy. Billionaire Ken Griffin increased his oil investments by 150%. Even Elon Musk said we can't live without oil. Come on, people. But here's what Wall Street isn't telling you. There's a smarter way for you to profit from oil than buying stocks. It's a unique investment that allows you to collect monthly royalty checks from America's richest oil fields. You're not buying shares into companies. You're getting direct ownership in oil-producing properties. And you can start this with just $25. Yes, you heard me correctly. You can learn more about this #1 oil royalty play for 2025 by going to JohnsonOilBoom.com. That's JohnsonOilBoom.com to discover how you can collect monthly royalty checks starting today. Monthly oil royalty checks starting today. Go check it out. Go read. Look, you see it right there. Write it down. JohnsonOilBoom.com. Go check it out. All right, everybody. That's it for me. God bless you. See you tomorrow.